Where are you from?
I am originally from Tulsa, Oklahoma. I moved to the Dallas, Texas area around 12, and I pretty much grew up there.
What was life like growing up in Dallas, Texas?
It was pretty good. I was raised by a single mom, so just a lot of independence and kind of looking out for myself. And then my best friend Ariel, her mom was also a single mom, so our moms would kind of like help each other out and alternate weekends because they were also young moms. So it's that conundrum of kind of wanting to be out and do things, but also having the responsibility of a middle school age child.
Were you an artistic child?
I mean, I can't draw or anything, but I always, wanted to play in clothes and makeup. More of an athlete than, if you will.
What sport were you playing?
Let's see. If it was in middle school, I was heavy in the track, and then in high school, I ran track up until maybe my sophomore year, and then my junior year, I was a wrestler.
Would you say that you were a tomboy?
To some degree. More in personality than aesthetics.
Yeah. So, do you come from sort of like a fashion background as far as your family?
I would say that my mom always prided herself on looking nice. She does hair to this day, and it was always drilled into me, like, always look your best. Comb your hair, put on your best fit, look like you got some sense.
Yeah. At what point did you gain an interest in fashion?
I always was interested in looking nice, whether it was I'm gonna get the new J's on Saturday or I want this cool jacket. But towards the end of high school, I was really into it. I had a friend named Magnolia, and she could cut and sew like crazy, like Vera Wang type dresses. Like, she would go crazy, and I would want to put things together. And so I started like wearing heels to school and looking at nicer things, and then seeing like, oh, these Steve Maddens are just a bootleg knockoff, or these Christian Louboutins and things of that sort. So I became more interested, and by the time I was a senior, I was either going to wrestle or I was going to do something else. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. So I ended up applying to FITM, and I got in, but the thing about the curriculum in schools that gear towards fashion, they don't really prepare you for in the event that you don't finish at that school. So they're offering you, your textile classes or your design classes, but if you transfer somewhere, you're going to be a freshman, and then you're also going to a private institution and paying out-of-state tuition. So they kind of put a damper on that situation.
And so what did you do immediately after high school? Did you go directly into styling? What did you do?
Nope. I went to Xavier University of Louisiana, where I met you, and I started a business degree. I actually have a degree in marketing and business administration.
Were you into the arts at Xavier as well? Because I know that you DJ, you also do fashion, you write. What were you doing there?
I was writing when I was at Xavier, but only if you were close with me. Like, I used to just hold my writing so close to me and so intimately, I didn't feel comfortable sharing. Like, I would almost have an anxiety attack sharing with people. As far as music was concerned, like, I would always hang out with like DJ Doe and stuff like that, and I was interested in music, but at that time I wasn't even thinking about DJ.
What were you thinking about?
I went to college because I knew I wanted to move. I knew I wanted to experience something different. I didn't necessarily know what, and I was getting a scholarship at Xavier, and they didn't offer fashion, but I know, like, okay, if I get a business degree, if I transfer somewhere else, then you can do fashion merchandising. You can do other things with a business degree that would translate to fashion.
Yeah. So at what point would you say you officially enter the fashion industry?
Career-wise?
Yeah, career-wise.
I would say maybe like 2015, 2016. I started, like, reaching out, seeing what it looks like to become a stylist, because at first it was challenging for me to figure out what I wanted to do within the industry. Like, did I want to go corporate? you know, I had friends that worked at like J.C. Penney's and Neiman Marcus or even Forever 21. And then when you get there, you're like, okay, yeah, you're gonna be in fashion merchandising, but you're not gonna do anything hands-on. It's more analytical. So you're deciding what goes into the store and what's working and what's not working. So it's kind of procurement to some degree, and that really didn't fit for me. So when I graduated from UNT in 2015, I was like, okay, I'll give myself a year and then I'll move to LA, and I'm just gonna pursue what I think I'll enjoy, which is celebrity styling. But it's kind of like when somebody says they want to be a rapper, it's like, okay, that's cool. You might think you have something hot, but how do you get to the point to where somebody else agrees and they pay you to do this thing?
Right. Who are some of the like the first artists you were styling?
The very first celebrity fitting I was ever in was with Big Sean. He was preparing for like festival and just tour, and I was interning for Addie Samuel, and I just kind of got thrown into it. Like that first week, I was at his house unpacking all the shoes and packing up returns from Jimmy Butler, because she had a couple of male clients at the time. So now I'm learning about, okay, showrooms, or how to do a pull from Saks Fifth Avenue, how to get the newest stuff, how to get the coolest stuff, how to go in a open ceremony and get something on a loan. And it was very immersive. But I want to say Becky G, she's a Latina artist. She was on Empire for a little stunt or whatever, and she had a music video, and I actually got to pull from the showroom, make selections, put looks together. So I would say, you know, Big Sean is like the first time I was like involved in like a fitting and, you know, gathering everything, getting things together, but actually like styling somebody, Becky G.
Can you describe the experience of someone who moves to LA in pursuit of fashion? Is it tough? Is it?
I mean, I think they say anytime you can make it in New York or LA, then you can probably make it anywhere, because those are the most challenging places to be. I've never lived in New York, so I can't speak to that. But in LA, everybody you meet wants to be somebody for the most part. There are very few people there that are just there because they love the weather or work didn't bring them there, because it's very expensive and it's very jaded, if you will. So it's very challenging because there are probably 20 other people minimum in the same room that do exactly what you do or want to do it. And it's very cutthroat.
Yeah. What's been your most memorable moment so far in fashion?
I would say most memorable would be assisting Zarina Akers on the Teen Vogue cover for Sweetie, because she kind of let me make some decisions there, put some looks together. You know, we collaborated and decided on certain looks together. Or she's asking me like, oh, do you think this shoe or that one? Like, oh, I was going in that direction, but I see where you're going with this type of situation. And additionally, I would say my work with Megan Thee Stallion, because that's who I worked the most closely with, whether it was reaching out to PR for things for her, helping with custom, being on set with her for music videos or interviews, like really in there in all areas that I could be, down to submitting budgets.
Yeah. How do you feel about the impact of fashion on the environment?
I definitely feel like fast fashion is horrible for the environment. Like, things are being produced quicker than the cycles of fashion, and it's not quality, and then it's also cheap to some degree. So people aren't really conscious of how they're producing, what they're producing, or the impact, because if you're going to make money and nobody's going to stop you, it's kind of like when they say like, okay, you guys need to recycle bottles, but we don't produce plastic bottles. So you can't blame the consumer, you have to blame the producer, but it's easier to blame the consumer. So you'll see things on Twitter like, stop shopping at Shein, stop shopping at Fashion Nova. But it's like, okay, people want to keep up with trends, they want to look cool, and it's affordable. So like, how do we fix this? And then it's to the point to where things that are supposed to be quality or your luxury brands, like, okay, you're using quote unquote vegan leather, it's pleather, and you upprice it. Like me for real. Like, Like, you're not serious right now.
Right. Do you have any sort of like dream clients that you would like to style?
I don't necessarily have a dream client, but I do have like a dream client relationship. Like, in my ideal world, I would have like an up and coming Nickelodeon or Disney actor that has a lot of talent. Because when you get to grow with your client, that's when you see people who have better style, quite frankly, because the stylist and the client have time to build that relationship and cultivate a style from when you're your little preteen and then when you're getting more mature. Like, there's always that joke to where you see like they always go through that little get dirty or whatever phase. Like, you see Miley Cyrus do it, you see Christina Aguilera, Britney, you see all of them do it. And I think there's a really graceful way that it can be done to show that, okay, this person is maturing and their style is maturing. I think Law and Zendaya are a good example of that. Or Brian Javar, he styles Marseille, and you know Marseille was on what's that show with the mixed people?
Oh, Blackish.
Yes, that show.
Why did I know that?
I don't know, but anyways, so like on Blackish, Marseille, you know, she's goes from a kid and now she's maybe like 17, 18 now, and then you get to see her style kind of mature over time, but it doesn't look too fast, or it didn't all of a sudden get too sexy.
Right. So why is it, I want to ask you that question. So why is it when you have like a child actor who is trying to sort of like get rid of that childlike persona for the public, why do they immediately like staunchly go to, okay, half naked, or if it's a guy, it's like shirt off, I just got swole, now I'm a man now type thing?
I think it's
do
just
you
like,
have to?
I don't think that you have to do that at all, but you have to understand these things are like machines. So they have like a manager, they have a PR person, they have a stylist, they have all these things working together, and then there's also what they say they want. So I think it just begins to be too many hands in the pot, really. And then sex always sells. It's rare that it doesn't. And then as soon as somebody knows that you're of age, they're just like, okay, cool, well, get your sexy on. Like, as soon as any girl that they see is curvy or hot, as soon as she's turned 18 and she got a bikini on her Instagram all of a sudden just popping. Like, it's nature and it's nurture and it's unfortunate.
What inspires your personal aesthetic?
I like to be comfortable. I like to stand out. I don't want to look like other people. So if I am gonna splurge on a designer item, I want it to almost be one of a kind or not something that you see often. And I also kind of want it to fit the environment. Like, I'm not coming here in a club dress. Like, why am I here for this interview in a club dress? Like, it's cold outside. We're in a studio. It's not the time or the place. So I like it to be intentional on the end of place appropriate. We argue if I'm overdressed or not, whatever. But I like it to be appropriate for the place. I like to be comfortable, and I like to look original.
Yeah. What is your biggest aspiration with your fashion career?
I would love to costume design a movie or a TV show, preferably one with black characters, so I can show, you know, how we all can be black and not be a monolith. Like, sometimes they'll be like, okay, the black character gets some forces. Not every black person wears forces. Like, that's not a thing. Like, why am I seeing so many Air Force Ones and billionaire boys? That's not all of us.
Forces. Y'all being forces.
Y'all
Negroes being forces. No,
I mean, yeah, y'all niggas being forces, but not every nigga is. You don't wear forces.
True, I don't. You're right.
So if I was styling a character that reminds me of you, then I'm not gonna put you in forces just because niggas wear forces.
True. Do you see in the fashion industry like a disconnect between the person styling and then the person who's actually like wearing the clothes culturally? So for example, if you have someone that's not necessarily from the culture of the setting or the scene, but they have to like style hip hop. Have you seen that happening?
Definitely, all the time. Like, I mean, more often than not, these stylists are not black. These costume designers are not black. And and sometimes they're not female. Like, I feel like the fashion industry is overwhelmingly white and white male, and then after that is black gay males, and then there's me.
Do you feel like your work in the industry is changing that landscape?
I would hope so. Like, I would hope from my experience I can help other people. I've had a lot of terrible experiences, but I've also had a lot of great ones. And for all the bad ones, it just makes the good ones that much sweeter. You know, entertainment is a brutal industry, and it's more brutal in the aspect that you really care about what you're doing or you love what you're doing. If something goes wrong at your day job, you're not up at night thinking about that. I mean, obviously that's what pays your bills, but more than likely you can probably find something similar and do that somewhere else. But the industry is small, so if you don't do well with this person and you burn a bridge, then that could go to the next person, and you don't want to be blackballed, but you also don't want to be taken advantage of. So it's that real sweet spot of kind of standing your ground and standing firm in what you believe in, but then also keeping it cool enough to where you don't fuck yourself in the industry as a whole.
For someone watching this who aspires to do what you do, what advice would you have for them?
I would say, you know, reach out to as many people as you can who want to do what you do or do something similar. Like for me, as a stylist, I always need a model friend or a photographer friend, or even if they're not my friend, somebody that I can trade with, because a photographer